Dawn, hello and welcome.
Hi, Peter. Welcome. Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm fine. How about you?
Yeah, all is good. All is good. Raring to go. Really excited for this little chat we're about to have about women in construction. It'll be cool. Before we chat around women in construction, can you just tell us a little bit about your role here at the BBA?
Okay. My role at BBA is the head of HR. I joined the middle of last year as we were coming to the end of COVID. My role within BBA is to support the business to be change ready. The business is incredibly ambitious. It's got a lot of opportunities in front of it, and it needs to bring people along in that journey. So my job is to create an organisation or support the creation of an organisation that readies people for that change journey.
That's fantastic. I think when we hear HR, we hear a lot of administrative things, a lot of processes and guidances. But to hear the way you're speaking about it, you're clearly passionate about it, and that change and getting the company ready and the people ready sounds fantastic. So what I'd quite like to know is what do you enjoy most about that role, and what challenges are you facing at the moment?
It's incredibly busy. There's always somebody to talk to. And I think that's probably what I enjoy most. You said that HR is process policy driven, but actually it's a people business. And if you, it's really important to have those policies and processes in place, but it shouldn't be the driver for
Mm.
HR. The driver for HR is about people. It's about getting the best out of people. And your job in HR is to support that and to remove the obstacles that people may have. Yeah, so in terms of what I enjoy most, it's the fact that it's busy and it's a constant conversation.
Oh, I like
I
that.
like
Nice.
talking.
Fantastic. So, what about challenges then? Because you've been here for around about a year, or coming up to a year. So, what challenges are you facing?
Well, I think the challenges are getting other people to realise the importance of the conversation rather than the policy.
Mm,
But the challenges are around encouraging other people to talk. It's absolutely my view that the vast majority of things can be sorted with an open conversation rather than people scurrying into their position. So yeah, just getting everybody to talk and to be open and creating an environment that's open and transparent is really important to me.
yeah, fantastic. And the changes that are happening in the BBA that is clearly massively important in this huge transition that the BBA are going through right now. So, a lot of work, but a lot of exciting work for you to focus on, which is brilliant. So
Indeed.
I'd like to move on to a little bit about women in construction, if I may. And since you've first joined the construction industry specifically, have you seen any changes? And if you have, what have they been in terms of women in construction?
Um, I mean, if it's okay, I'm going to rephrase the question because I've only been in construction for a very short period of time. Prior to
For
that, I
sure.
was in facilities management, and prior to that, I was in a technology business. So I think how I would rephrase the question is, how have I found construction and did that surprise me? I have found it to be far more professional than I might have anticipated and far more organised around the subject of how do we make construction um, better to support the society with which we're in. I'm not saying everything is done. I'm not saying there's not a lot of work ahead of us, but it's been really pleasing to see how much thought and focus um, is in construction, and especially within making construction more accessible to women.
That's fantastic to hear. Brilliant news. You said make it more accessible to women. So, how do you think we could encourage more women to work in this fantastic industry?
Oh goodness, that's a good question. Well, I think as a business, you need to make sure that you have policies in place that support women. And by that I mean policies, processes, and approaches that support women. So obviously things like hybrid working. Women more often are the carers for the family at home. So being flexible around that is really, really important. And also looking for those obstacles that you might have baked into your processes that stop women being successful in your business, and that might be processes and policies that you've had in place for a very long time that you've not looked at, you've not considered. And it could be very complex things, or it could be very simple things. So for example, you know, women tend to be on average shorter than men. Have you got things positioned so that women can reach them? If you have uniforms, do they fit women? Those kind of things, those kind of simple things that can just get in the way of women being successful.
Yeah, it's interesting you should bring the kind of clothing thing up. I was speaking to somebody a couple of weeks ago, and that's one thing they said in terms of changing the kind of perspective for women in construction and joining the industry.
Mm-hmm.
There was a conversation going on, and somebody said, "What's the most valuable piece of equipment you had?" And they said, well, I always carry around my size 8 or size 7 boots, which were specifically made for a woman's foot. And it's
Yeah.
like little things like that we almost just take for granted or flippantly, but there's a huge difference. Comfort is
Yeah.
massive.
Well, and security and safety. So having high vis that scales down to a woman's size, so it's comfortable. Things like that are just really important. And I think we're guilty of thinking about creating mentorships for women and the really clever stuff, and it's the simple stuff then that trip us up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we've all been there when we've had ill-fitted clothing, regardless of whether that's too tight or too loose or too baggy or too long or whatever it is, and you just feel uncomfortable. And if that's your starting position, it's
You're out
it's
of
not a great
place.
start.
Indeed, you feel out of place. Indeed.
Yeah, definitely. So, looking towards the future generation, then, what would you say to the younger generation coming through for women that were looking to get into construction?
Oh, what I would say is this is a really exciting business to be in. It's interesting. No 2 days are the same. Because it's still got to go on a journey, and there's a lot to achieve as an industry, then the roles that you will undertake here are going to be interesting. So you might be attracted to roles like being an accountant or being a doctor or being a lawyer. They might sound interesting, but I'm sure that there's a lot of repetition in those roles where I don't really see much pattern repeat in construction. So if you want a job that you enjoy, that is constantly changing, pick construction.
Yeah, I like that. Well, very well said. So, Dawn, I just want to wrap things up and let's go full circle and let's pull it back to yourself. And which female role model inspires you and why?
Um, I'm going to say it's probably somebody like Rihanna, the singer. I don't know her that well. I'm not particularly into her music necessarily, but um, what she is somebody who is incredibly hardworking. Her work ethic is really strong. She's also authentic. She is who she is, and she's powerful. She's a powerful woman within an industry where there aren't many powerful women.
Mm,
And more than that, she has had some personal trials that she has had to overcome in her life, and she has overcome them with dignity. So for me, that's the sort. And she's young, as she's still very young. She's achieved a lot and still very young. So I think she's the sort of person that I admire, and it comes down again to that work ethic. It's people that work hard tend to be the people that I admire.
Fantastic. I think that's a great way to end it. Work hard and admiration. Great way to wrap things up. Dawn, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Peter.